I'm telling you, this is a 5150 special. So when you press on the fender, there's nothing back there but air. You can see, you can see yourself through the holes. I'm sure that this was directly contributed to the corrosive fuel spilling out. Oh yeah, there we go, lovely. And then there's the beautiful stock unmolested trunk area until you pan down. Oh yeah, the front clip is not even attached to the body anymore. Beautiful, gorgeous. Look at how nice it is under the hood though. Isn't that crazy? 6 inches down, this entire car is rotted out. And let's get back on the 69 Beetle, which is in much better shape. So what I'm actually going to be doing is replacing the front and the rear aprons. So I thought I would cover how I do that and kind of what's involved there if you've never done this before. Rear apron area, you can see it starts, there's a seam. I'll give you a close up here in a minute, but we're going to remove this whole section out because this particular one right here, it's dented in, it's creased in right here. And once they crease in right here, it's a double layer. And it's really hard to get that dent, if not impossible, to get it to come back out. So we'll just replace this whole section here. We'll start with the rear, but I'll finish with the front. It'll make more sense here in a minute. One thing just to keep in mind, you can always take more metal off, but you can't put metal back on. So you need to be real conservative when you're going through this process. So what I mentioned earlier is, if I can get a close up here, hopefully this will show on the camera, you can actually see right here at the end of the Sharpie, the seam from the original panel where it comes up and goes across. So we'll be putting, of course, an aftermarket panel back on, and I want it to fit as good as I can, but I can guarantee you that the replacement panel may not fit exactly or have exactly the same measurements as the factory one that I'm taking off. So what I like to do is just cut it a little bit further back so that I've got some extra room there. So what I'll do is I'll just make some marks here and show you. The seam is way up here, but I'll probably cut this one along this line right here. And then I like leaving some extra metal, not only for support, but you can see the original spot welds. You know, I could come back in here. Obviously, if it was a real rusty panel, I could cut these right here out, these spot welds. I'll try to get a close up. I could drill all of these spot welds out here and down the side. I could take all these out, and then what I would actually do is remove the panel off. I can see the indentations where they are, but this doesn't have a lot of rust. The metal's in really good shape. So rather than remove metal and make it flimsier than possibly it is already, I'll just cut it, and I'll cut it back maybe about an inch. So somewhere along this line right here. And you know, once you start cutting, you can kind of see if there's any width of the supporting panel that's underneath it. I don't want to cut into that. Like I said, I'd be conservative on this because I would rather take not enough off than too much off. So I'll cut it along there, and then on the inside lip, you can actually see, you know, right in the edge, right up here, you can see the seam right there for this panel. And in a perfect world, you'd drill these out and you would remove the old panel. Well, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually going to come out here, and I'm going to give myself some room for error, and I'm going to cut, you know, something like that along the lines, maybe leave an inch to a half an inch of added material there. That way, if my panel isn't long enough, doesn't fit quite right, I've got some room for error. We got the shop dogs out here helping us today. Hey, Oscar. He's hanging out, helping us out. Cash is around here somewhere. He's probably guarding everything. But I'm not really fighting a rust issue on this car like I am on the 70 over there, which, as you can see from my opening of this video, pretty much everything that's 12 inches and below on that car is rusted out. The body looks beautiful, but the bottom half of that car is gone. So I'm gonna be absolutely a certified master welder when I get done with that thing. But anyway, what I just mentioned on the rear apron, I'm gonna go show you the front apron I've already got removed, and I'm getting ready to prep it so I can weld it back on. See here, I've got the front apron pretty much ready to go back on. Not really, it's just sitting there. So I've got the new piece for the front apron. And again, I'll show you the tool that I use to cut the holes in the side so that I can add the spot welds back in there. But the main thing I'm looking at right now is the edge and the seams and everything like I showed on the back. And I'll show you here on the front what it looks like right now and how much material I left. But I don't want to cut it too short because I would have to build a patch panel or something to make it fit right. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to have this piece, which basically is too short in this area right here, the bottom lip. I want to be able to utilize this, and you know, of course I didn't have to fix a bunch of rust, so I've got plenty of metal. I just had a big crash, the one that I took off. I don't have it to show you, but in the center right here, it had run into a curb or a parking bumper or something. So that's what I was replacing this panel for. It's not really a corrosion or rust problem. Here you can see I've removed the front apron, and you can actually see, let me get my pointer here. You can actually see the seam right in this area here, and then it runs down right here. So I left some extra material there. I've still got to do some finish work. I need to, I almost got carried away with my cutter here, but I need to grind that little edge off there or roll it around. And then of course I need to remove part of this strip for the seal. And then I'll overlap the new piece. I'll come probably in the middle of where the original seam is because it's a little bit short. So it'll hit this area right in here. And then the sides down here, the seams match up pretty good. I'll show it to you here in a minute on the panel that I'm putting on. But down here at the bottom, it's way too short. This is the actual seam that I'm trying to pull the panel off and replace. So had I gone ahead and drilled it all out, the new one would run in this area right here, and it would be a good, probably inch or two shorter than what I need it to be. So if you look, I didn't cut it all the way out. I'm going to leave that lip there. I'm going to overlap the two pieces, which will add more strength here. I'm going to punch holes in it with a body punch that I have, and then get it as tight as I possibly can. I'm actually going to use a tip or a trick that I saw that Chris Vallone was using with his restorations. I'm going to actually drill holes in the side, which I'm already going to punch holes for the spot welds, but I'm actually going to put, I thought about using rivets, and I think that's what he was using in his video, but instead I'm going to drill, I've got some self-tapping sheet metal screws, and I'm just going to get it lined up. I'm going to put the sheet metal screws in there to hold it really tight, and then I'm going to spot weld, and then I'll take my sheet metal screws out and I'll weld the holes shut. It's not something I've done in the past. I always clamped it, used vice grips, used things like that. I can never get the panel tight enough to really make my welds really nice, but that's a good trick and tip that I saw, so we'll go ahead and do that. And of course, what you want to do in here, any of this metal that you're going to overlap and you're not going to remove, you need to treat it for rust so that you don't get rust behind the panels. And then anywhere there's going to be a seam, I'll come back and I actually have some body shop seam sealer, automotive seam sealer, and I'll put that in there to keep the moisture out. Here's the new panel just kind of sitting up in there. I'm holding it in with my knee. I haven't finished trimming this top, and you can see there's a gap. So I need to do some final prep work, a little bit of hammer and dolly work to get it to fit really really snug. But if you look down the side here where the old and new seams are, and if I push it in as far as I can, it's not a bad match until you get down to the fender bolt hole down here at the bottom, and it kind of overlaps. Of course, if you look right here at this corner, I need to raise the panel up a little bit more, which is going to make this fit even worse. So that section right in there, I'm going to have to trim. This section down here, I'm going to have to do a little bit of finished body work, a little bit of bending and massaging it to get it to fit. But I should be able to get this top section pretty much flush with the old panel. Here's the tool that I use to punch the holes in the sheet metal for the spot welds, and I use these on floor pans. I use these on the body panels. I've used them for years. I think I've probably been through a couple of these tools. This one I either picked up from Harbor Freight or I probably ordered it off of Amazon. So get the box over here. I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll demo it for you. So it's called a hole punch. Pretty much like the paper hole punch that you would have inside, only a heavy-duty version. So it has different dies along the front here, different sizes. You can determine what size hole you want to punch. You can pick the die that you want. I've got the 1/4 inch. Seems to work pretty good for making those spot welds. Just like a big hole punch, nothing special. Hopefully I can catch this on camera so that you can see it. So down the edge, you know, if you look at the stock panel, it's got spot welds maybe every inch to 1.5 inches all the way down the side of the panel. So if I want to duplicate that, I'm simply going to fit this in here. I'm going to pick a spot that I want to punch the hole in. And like I said, hopefully I can do this on camera. Camera, yep. So you can see it'll punch a nice hole in a piece of sheet metal. You can pick your size. I could probably go a little bit smaller than this, but that's pretty close to the stock one. Again, I'm going to be welding all these holes shut when I put the panel in there, but I'll go all the way down the side and space it out in the probably the meatier section of this panel right here where the points are. I'll space these out all the way down the side, and then I'll do some across the bottom lip. And then, of course, I'm going to clean up all this metal first. I'm going to treat anything I need to treat. I'm going to make sure that it's all ready to go. Anything that needs to be trimmed is trimmed. I'll spend some time lining up the body panel there, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Hopefully, before the end of this year, I'll be able to finish up the paint job. All I've got left to paint is the center part of the car here, so it's coming along. Well, you know, I don't have enough subscribers yet to be able to post videos longer than 15 minutes, so I have to keep things short. So that's about it for tonight. Again, Oscar and I are just hanging out in the shop, and I'm gonna finish up that apron or aprons if I do the front and the back, get it all back together, and then I'll show you some more along the way of prepping the car, and then hopefully get some good footage of the paint job. But we still got the pan to do on the 69. We're gonna put Wolfsburg West floor pans in it, and I'll try to capture that for you. It should turn out really nice. It's already unbolted from the pan. All I gotta do is lift the body back off, and then I'm gonna sit the body down on some dollies so I can roll it around, and then the pan will be separated. I just don't have it that way right now because I'm trying to save some space. But again, thanks for stopping by. If you like what you saw, please share these videos, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Stick around with us. We got a lot of cool projects going on. Everybody be safe out there and take care.